Hey, we're back. Welcome to In the Box with Alex. As always, I'm your host, Alex Baumgartner. Um, Last time we were here, Florida Panthers were still playing, but they're not here anymore. But the Stanley Cup playoffs is still underway. We are currently at the semifinals, the final four. The Montreal Canadiens and the Vegas Golden Knights are one team, the two teams playing against each other, and then the other two teams are the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. There's no conference finals this year anymore because of the new division alignment for this shortened COVID season, as we're saying. A couple games have already finished. The series over in Long Island and Tampa, that's a 1-1 series. The Islanders stole the first game in Tampa by a score of 2-1. They were up 2-0, then the Lightning scored in the last couple minutes, and they held on. Then game two was yesterday. The Lightning flexed their muscles a bit, won 4-2. There was some questionable calls on both sides in that game. The officiating has been very, very questionable this entire playoff run, from round one up until last night. I mean, there was one goal where the Lightning had 7 players, and then the Islanders got a power play because Braden Point was pushed into Semyon Varlamov, and then the Islanders subsequently scored on that. So the officiating has definitely been a talking point of this entire Stanley Cup playoffs. But that series is tied 1-1. I think the teams are pretty evenly matched there. Obviously, we know how offensively gifted the Tampa Bay Lightning are, but the Islanders are no team to look down upon. They're led by Barry Trotz. They got guys like Matthew Barzal. They got Beauvillier. There's a lot of talent, young talent on that team, and then there's some veteran leadership from guys like Palmieri, who just came in. That's a very interesting series, and I think it's going 7. Now, let's look at the other series, the Montreal Canadiens, who no one expected would even beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, much less sweep the Winnipeg Jets, are now here in the Final Four. Vegas leads that series 1-0. I believe game 2 is tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Once again in Vegas. That stadium was absolutely electric. The T-Mobile Arena, full capacity. This is the first time the Montreal Canadiens have played in a crowd even remotely to being as packed as it was in Vegas. They just started playing against 2,500 fans over the last couple games in Montreal and Canada. And they come to Vegas, first time in the U.S. since March 2020. Also the first time since March 2020 they're playing in front of a full house. And Vegas proved why they're one of the loudest arenas in the National Hockey League. The Canadiens actually had a really good start to that game. They came out, they were buzzing, they were putting the pressure towards the Vegas Golden Knights. But then, Vegas flexed their powers, and they went on to win that game 4-1. A couple really good shots from the point beat Carey Price, and it shows how much of a deeper team Vegas is than Montreal. Vegas was a couple points away from getting the President's Trophy. Montreal was the lowest ranked team heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So there is clearly a discrepancy in which team's better. Also, Vegas has made the conference finals 3 of the last 4 years. This isn't a conference finals, but it's a Stanley Cup semifinal. So it's the same amount of, rounds. It's round 3. So they've made it 3 out of the last 4 years. And Vegas is absolutely stacked with talent from guys like Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, who was the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens. They got the former captain of the St. Louis Blues, who just recently won a Stanley Cup, Alex Pietrangelo. The team has so many really good players. They got guys like Alec Martinez, who's won Stanley Cups in LA. That team is absolutely stacked everywhere on the ice. And then Marc-Andre Fleury, he kept his team in it for those first 6-7 minutes where Montreal was just absolutely peppering him with shots. He had so many saves, couple rebounds that the defense couldn't clear, and he was standing on his head. There's a very good chance that Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury are going to relive their 2014 Olympic days in Beijing next year for Team Canada at the 2022 Olympics. Quite frankly, right now, I don't see 2 better goalies in Canada than these 2 guys. They should probably be on the Olympic team. But let's continue in talking about this series. Here are the keys for Montreal tonight. Montreal, their team isn't as good. Now, I don't know if Jeff Petrie is playing tonight. He is the number one defenseman on the Montreal Canadiens, probably one of the best two-way defenders in the NHL over the last couple of seasons. He hurt his finger in the series against Winnipeg, I believe. And he hasn't played in the last two games, so they've been playing Alexander Romanov in his place, who is a very good defenseman, only 21 years old. But he's no Jeff Petrie, and the Canadiens really need him back as soon as possible if they want a chance in this series. Because, as I said, Vegas has so many different players in so many different positions. They got the skill players, they got the aggressive players, they got the shutdown line, and the defense, two-way defenders. It's an absolutely star-studded team. Montreal does have speed on their side, though. They got a lot of young players that have wheels. Cole Caulfield, the 20-year-old, just scored his first career playoff goal in game one. He has a really good shot, and it seems like he's been shooting it a little bit more, and the Canadiens really need him to get going, and they need Nick Suzuki, to get going. Ryan's his brother. Yeah, that series, I still think Vegas is going to pull out. I know that we talked a couple days ago with Manny, and I said Montreal with the upset. Yeah, I was wrong. That's not going to happen unless Montreal can steal probably tonight's game, because you go down 0-2 to Vegas. It's going to be very hard for you to win both games in Montreal and then come back and then win another game in Vegas. I really think tonight you got to win the game. You got to tie it up, and then you have some momentum going back to the Bell Center in Montreal, where they're increasing capacity a little bit, but it's nowhere close to what Vegas has right now. Vegas has all the momentum if they win tonight. If Montreal is able to steal one in front of that crowd of 18,000, 19,000 plus, then there's a fighting chance in this series. But if you go down tonight 0-2 and then Vegas steals one of those two games in Montreal, you're down 3-1 coming back to the loudest building in hockey right now. So tonight is kind of a must-win for Montreal, in my opinion. Now, I know they've come back from 3-1 deficit in the first round against Toronto, but this isn't a Toronto team. Toronto hasn't made it out of the first round since 2004. Vegas has made the conference finals 3 times the last 4 years. They went to the Stanley Cup finals. They got guys who weren't on that team then that are on this team now that have won Stanley Cups. They got a lot of work to do. That's it for these two series. The Islanders play, I think they're playing tomorrow at 8. That is over in Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum. Islanders just got to stick to their game. They got to stay out of the box, and they got to capitalize on the chances that they're given. If they get power plays, you got to capitalize. Because as we've seen throughout this entire playoff run for the Lightning and the last playoff run, when they get going, they get going. Braden Point might be one of the best players in the NHL, and he's definitely one of the best players on the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's only, I think, 25, 24 years old, something like that. And he's already put up so many points in the last two years in the playoffs. Nikita Kucherov, he has, I believe, 44 points already in the last 2 playoff runs for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He joined an illustrious crew of players, including Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, to get at least that many points. I saw that on NHL today. This team is amazing. When Steven Stamkos is probably your 4th or 5th best player, you have a really, really good team. And Tampa has a really, really good chance of repeating, at least making it to the Stanley Cup Finals again. So we'll talk a little bit more about these series as the games unfold. Now I want to give a little bit of NHL news. Gerard Gallant, former Florida Panthers head coach, has been hired as the 36th coach in team history of the New York Rangers. Now, Gerard Gallant just came off of a gold medal win at the IIHF 2021 Ice Hockey World Championships with Team Canada, which was also Roberto Luongo's first ever gold medal as GM of Team Canada, the former Florida Panthers goalie. So a couple Florida Panthers connections there. Gallant was fired as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, I believe in 2020, replaced by Pete DeBoer, who was also a Florida Panthers coach at one point. So Gallant, honestly, he's one of my favorite coaches in the NHL. I could probably only name 5 coaches that are five coaches I'd rather have than coaching my team. So Quenneville's up there, Brindamore's up there, but Gerard Gallant, for him to have to wait this long to get a job, The Rangers got their guy, and I think it's a great fit. New York has a nice young team, and a couple young players, a couple star players. Artemi Panarin, he's one of the best wingers in the NHL. Mika Zibanejad's been one of the best players since he's gotten to New York. Then you got last year's first overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere. You got Capo Caco, who was the second overall pick. You got young guys like Keandre Miller coming up. They got a very, very bright future in New York, and I think Gerard Gallant has proven that he can take pretty much any team he's been given and take them to the next level. He was a really good assistant coach too. When he was in Montreal, he took one of the worst Team Canada teams to a gold medal. He is the right man for the job. And I don't know if Seattle had a chance of getting him, but I definitely think they missed out because Gerard Gallant would have been a great coach to start your expansion franchise with, as he did with the Golden Knights. He took them to the Stanley Cup Finals in his first year as coach. So there's that. Gerard Gallant, congratulations. You are now the coach of the New York Rangers. Going to upstate New York, going to Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres, captain Jack Eichel. Lots of rumors have been going around saying he might be out in Buffalo. Well, lots and lots of stories have come out recently, and I don't know if it's going to happen. If I was betting, I would say it doesn't happen this season, but they do have the first overall pick, and they've sent lots of guys out in recent years, whether that's Evander Kane, Ryan O'Reilly. They sent Brandon Montour out to Florida. Jack Eichel's not happy. Jack Eichel hasn't made the playoffs since he's been on the team. Rasmus Ristolainen hasn't made the playoffs since he's been drafted. Lots of stuff's going on in Buffalo, and I really don't know what's going on with that organization. Luckily, they have the first overall pick. Owen Power's probably the guy. He played absolutely unbelievable at the World Hockey Championships, was one of Canada's best defensemen as an 18-year-old. He came out and said he would consider going back to Michigan next season, except the way it works in the NHL, it's not like the NBA, it's not like college. If you get drafted, you can still go back to the NCAA unless you sign your entry-level contract. So Owen Power, theoretically, could go drafted number 1 overall to the Buffalo Sabres, go back to Michigan, and then come back for the 2022-2023 season. Now, that's assuming he goes back and he's the pick. I think he will be. But yeah, Jack Eichel. A couple teams that I would keep my eye out on for the Jack Eichel sweepstakes. New York Rangers, they got lots of prospects. It depends who they would want to give up if they were considering a Jack Eichel trade. And as you see, the LA Kings, I've been saying for months, that's the team that I would want Jack Eichel to go to. And I think it's the best fit in terms of, not best fit, it's the best package, I think, that you could get, because they got lots of young players. Them in New York have two of the best farm systems in the NHL in terms of prospects. They just drafted Quentin Byfield. Now, I wouldn't trade Quentin Byfield. I would want to keep him, but everyone else is up for grabs. Akil Thomas, Alex Turcotte, all these guys that you've drafted in recent years, first-round picks in the future. If you want Jack Eichel, and you can keep Quentin Byfield, everyone else is game except maybe Anze Kopitar, because Buffalo's not going to want Kopitar. They're going to want young prospects and draft picks. I think LA is a very good fit. I've heard some stuff about Philadelphia. They got some nice young players. It just depends who Philly would want to give up. Obviously, draft picks, probably Cam York. Maybe have to give up, your former second overall pick. But yeah, I think LA is probably the team, and New York, those are the top two teams in terms of prospects. Florida's not getting Jack Eichel. They don't have enough prospects in their system that they would be willing to give up. And I wouldn't give up Anton Lundell because I think he is the next big guy in Florida. However, there is another Finn, as we're talking about Anton Lundell, that could potentially be a Florida Panther. Now, nothing has been told, but there's been a lot of rumors surrounding Patrick Laine, the former 30-plus, 40-plus goal scorer of the Winnipeg Jets and Columbus Blue Jackets. Laine has had an interesting start to his career. He's put up 44 goals one season, 30 goals in pretty much every other season except this year. And he will be an RFA. You won't offer sheet him, but you could put in a decent package to get him. And he's friends with Barkov. There's a good Finnish connection down here in South Florida. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida picks up the phone. People say he might not be the greatest fit, but I think if you pair him along a true number one center, which he hasn't been able to play with during his career, because in Winnipeg, he wasn't playing on that top line. He wasn't with Mark Scheifele. They were playing Blake Wheeler over him. I think if he's with Barkov, he could probably score 35 goals again, and he would be an upgrade over Anthony Duclair on that wing. If you can get him for cheap, you can get him on a bridge deal. It wouldn't hurt the Panthers getting a potential 35, 40-plus goal scorer. But those are just rumors, nothing for sure. We still got a ways away until the expansion draft and the NHL draft, which is set to be in July. Stanley Cup semifinals, only 2 games have been played in one series. The second game tonight in Vegas, that will be played. It's been fun to come back here. It's been a little bit since we've been on In the Box with Alex because of the Florida Panthers getting knocked out in the first round. But the offseason is near. But before that, we got to get a Stanley Cup champion. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications and head over to our Twitter. You might see a new check mark over there. You can head over to the 5 Reasons Sports merchandise store. Got lots of shirts over there. And follow us on Twitter at FifthLine5R. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.